I'm Noreen Taylor, and welcome. This is our second decade of doing the Taylor Prize, and I can't believe that what began as a dream my late husband had just before dying has become this reality. We recognized that nonfiction was an underappreciated area of Canadian writing, and we thought it was going to be crucial to garner support for our writers in order that they achieve the acclaim they richly deserved. I'm pleased to announce something today, and this is just in. We are pleased to announce that we'll be working with the Huffington Post Canada to bring these books and their authors to an even greater audience online as the fastest growing news and opinion site in Canada. Danielle Crittenden is with us today. She's come up from Washington. In October, I announced something that had developed from that working relationship, which is that RBC Wealth Management is now the presenting sponsor of the prize.
At RBC Wealth Management, we believe that the Charles Taylor Prize and its commitment to excellence in the Canadian nonfiction area has produced an illustrious list of winners and finalists who have all made an indelible mark on Canadian literatures. We're proud to be proud to be their partner and to help raise the profile of Canadian nonfiction writers who elevate and promote to the world our Canadian heritage and character. I'm excited about this new partnership and honored that RBC Wealth Management can be along for the ride as Charles Taylor heads into its second decade and redefines the Canadian literary landscape.
I don't know if you could tell, but when you listen to Vijay, in working together, we had just found this base of a search for excellence and quality that has made a partnership really remarkable and amazing. And once again this year we have a stunning list of jurors, and it's my privilege to introduce them. Two of them are with us today, and a third is not. I'll introduce the one who is not first. Alan M. Brandt, is the Dean of the Graduate School of Harvard University. Our next juror, Stevie Cameron, really needs no introduction. I think, like many of us in the room, we got to know Stevie through her columns in the Globe and Mail and followed her on CBC's The Fifth Estate. Susan Renouf might not remember this, but I met her first behind a desk at Key Porter. Do you remember? You do? It's amazing. We were all a little younger. In any event, it was evident in that conversation that she was someone to follow in the world of publishing, and I sort of had my eye on her, as many other people did, as she moved along in her career. If I were to name a list of writers and books that Susan has helped bring to the public, it would be a veritable who's who of Canadian literature.
So, the 2012 Charles Taylor Prize for Literary Nonfiction finalists are, the first one, Wade Davis for Into the Silence, The Great War, Mallory, and the Conquest of Everest, published by Alfred Canada. Of the book, the jury wrote, "In this monumental volume, Wade Davis narrates explorer George Mallory's heroic attempt to scale Everest following the Great War. With remarkable new research in previously unexplored British archives and in the Himalayas, Into the Silence, The Great War, Mallory, and the Conquest of Everest powerfully links the devastating carnage and demoralization of the war to the transcendent aspiration of Mallory and his compatriots to ascend Everest."
Next author is Charlotte Gill for Eating Dirt, Deep Forest, Big Timber, and Life with the Tree Planting Tribe, published by Greystone Books. Of the book, our jury wrote, "Only a writer as skilled as Charlotte Gill could make the backbreaking work of planting more than 1 million seedlings sound like one of life's essential adventures." Gill shares her love for Canada's boreal forests, the tragedy of their disappearances, and the grueling work involved in replacing them. Reader, you might finish this book feeling relieved you don't plant trees, but you'll be wishing that you could.
And the next, J.J. Lee for The Measure of a Man, the story of a father, a son, and a suit, published by McCullum & Stewart. As an experienced radio current affairs producer, J.J. Lee knew what it took to make a good story, though he never expected his own life to end up in a book. The Measure of a Man, Lee's account of trying to remake one of his late father's old suits into one for himself, began as a CBC radio documentary. An editor suggested it would make a good book. She was right. Beautifully crafted, Lee's memoir is a heartbreaking page-turner about a family, an abusive father, and men's fashion.
The next book is Madeline Sonic, For Afflictions and Departures, essays published by Anvil Press. Of the book, our jury wrote, startlingly original, Madeline Sonic's moving story of her childhood defies all our expectation of memoir. She captures crystalline moments of childhood memory and links them in a daisy chain with corresponding events of the tumultuous societal change taking place outside her home. Droll, tragic, and absolutely compelling, Afflictions and Departures is a visceral portrayal of a family imploding.
And last, but certainly not least, Andrew Westall for The Chimps of Fauna Sanctuary, a Canadian story of resilience and recovery, published by HarperCollins Publishers. Brilliantly blending science and storytelling, primatologist and author Andrew Westall takes us deep into the world of the haunted and haunting rescued research chimps of Fauna Sanctuary. Heartrending and heartwarming, this is a stunning and important work of art and documentary and science.
Getting excited. In a couple months' time, we'll all be meeting back at Ben McNally's, who sold me Chimps of Fauna Sanctuary last spring, I'll have you know. And then we'll be meeting on March the 4th at his author's brunch at the King Edward Hotel, followed by March the 5th, once again at the Sovereign Ballroom for the 11th awarding of the Taylor Prize. Congratulations, jurors. Congratulations, publishers. It's an amazing list.